You are receiving this video because you work at a city or you work inside a school district or you work at the county and your taxing entity is being disenfranchised. Let me explain. First of all, I just have to say that the property tax system is broken and we all know that. Well, my name is Chandler Crouch. Last year, I helped 20,000 people protest their property tax values. I did it all for free. And the experience of protesting and diving in deeper with the property tax system has opened my eyes to the problems at every level of government. The state property tax code has problems, but here locally at the appraisal district itself, we have a major problem. Here's the thing. If you're not happy with the property tax system, then you have to make sure then what we have to do is we have to make sure that our appraisal district is being run effectively. And if you just follow the chain of command about like how it needs to be, how do we make sure that it's run effectively? Well, you just work backwards. The employees have to do their job. That means the chief appraiser has to do his job. That means the budget has to be in check. Well, who's in charge of all of that? It is the appraisal district board of directors. Now, how are the appraisal district board of directors chosen? Guess what? You get to vote to select who is voted on as an appraisal district board of director. But if your taxing entity is not Fort Worth ISD, City of Fort Worth, Arlington ISD, the Tarrant County Commissioner Court, the Tarrant County College, if you're not one of those big guys, then your vote basically isn't counting right now. It's being disenfranchised. There's a bill on file that has a hearing on Monday, April the 12th. There's a hearing scheduled. There's a bill on file that will close a loophole that those larger taxing entities are exploiting to basically virtually rig the election, thereby disenfranchising your vote. I want to give you the details on this. I'm going to explain it. I'm going to show you so that you don't have to take my word for it. And then I need your help. In order to close this loophole and to get this bill passed, I need you to reply to me and give me your feedback and express your support so that whenever I go testify on Monday, I can tell them about your feedback and tell them why you support it. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm not just slinging mud to sling it. I know what I'm talking about, and we've got a real problem. So here's what happens. This is how the voting system works. Each taxing entity gets a certain number of votes. Okay, so you can see the taxing entities on the left side. You got school districts, cities, and then we go down here and you see Tarrant County College. You see Tarrant County. This is the Tarrant County Commissioner Court. They all get a certain number of votes. The number of votes that they get is in proportion to the amount of property value that's being appraised by the appraisal district. I think that much makes sense. If the taxing entity has more property that needs to be valued, they should probably have a little bit more of a say of who gets elected to the appraisal district board of directors. Now, the thing that I don't like is how these larger taxing entities like Fort Worth ISD, who has 577 votes, or Arlington ISD, who has 450 votes, or if you scroll on down here, you can start to see, let's see, we've got 597 votes at the city of Fort Worth, and so on. So Tarrant County has 505 votes. Tarrant County College is actually a little bit on the smaller side, but here's what happens. Those big taxing entities, they have the luxury of meeting once a week, most of them. The small taxing entities like Aledo, Azle, Lakeside, Dalworthington Gardens, those guys, they don't meet quite as often. They might only meet once a month. When the vote is placed, the vote has to be placed during one of their public meetings. So each taxing entity is limited on when they can vote. So what happens is the larger taxing entities, they have the luxury of waiting because they have a meeting every single week. They just wait until all the smaller taxing entities have cast their votes, and then they wait until right before the election. They get the tally of all the votes. They talk to each other. They figure out who's going to vote for who, and then they select who they want voted on at the appraisal district board of directors. Now, what ends up happening is your taxing entity's vote gets lost. It gets disenfranchised and virtually canceled out. And these larger taxing entities are basically selecting who they want on the board. What would solve this problem is if we just forced the larger taxing entities to close the loophole that allows them to take advantage of the timing and force them to vote earlier on in the voting cycle. I don't need you to take my word for it, what's going on. I want to share with you a video of the Tarrant County Commissioner Court actually doing this. Now, we have the ability. Hold on, I've got to start this over real quick. We've got the ability to listen to the Tarrant Appraisal District or the Commissioner Court do this, but I heard what was going on the whole time, and the taxing entities were talking to each other, and it was obvious that they were all in on it. Here goes. This illustrates the point right here.
Because the window is closing for December 14th, and because we still have another Commissioners Court meeting, if you would like, we could defer any action on casting these ballots until some of the other jurisdictions have also cast their ballots, which is a public record, and we have access to that. And that will give you a better understanding as to where we are on how the other jurisdictions have cast their votes, if that's important to you, and how we place our votes.
Okay, there you go. So what he's doing is he's just telling you, hey, we can wait until all the other votes are tallied. We'll figure out what they're voting, and then we can delay our vote to vote and basically select who we want. So let me show you the bill that I helped State Representative Matt Krause draft this bill. He is absolutely, he just called my office and said, hey, you've protested for 20,000 people. You know what's going on. What do we need to change? What loopholes? And he was so happy to try to do what he could to help fix the system and unbreak it, fix the flaws in it. So this bill, it says that this bill only applies to counties with a population of 120,000 people or more. And so it says for taxing units that are going to cast at least 5% of all the votes must determine who they're going to vote during their first or second open meeting after the chief appraiser opens the voting window. And that's it. It's a very simple solution. The larger taxing entities, if they're in favor of fairness, they should also not object to this. I think that for me to sit here and call them by name is unfortunate. And the people that are running for those seats and in charge of representing the people for their jurisdictions, they should be in favor of closing those loopholes and doing their part to make sure it's a fair system, and the people in the whole county are indirectly represented through the system, so that by making sure that the taxing units in those smaller areas those votes are counted. And so here's what I need from you. I just need you to send me an email. I am going to go testify on Monday, and in my testimony, I want to read out loud the quotes that you give me expressing your support for this bill to close the loophole. So it's going to be, I want it to be the most powerful testimony possible, and your voice is going to go a long way to make sure that happens. So please send me an email, just reply, and I'll be more than happy to include your quote. I can't guarantee that I will, and I might need to truncate it a little bit, but I want to get your words on paper so that I can read them out loud and get this bill passed. Thank you so much.